What the car industry doesn't want you to know. Something terrifying caught my attention lately, and it's not about a new recall or some faulty airbag. No, this is absolutely insane, and they're hiding it right under our noses. What I'm about to tell you will blow your mind and terrify you, especially if you're one of the millions of Americans who've bought into the electric vehicle dream. We're being sold a vision of a green electric future, right? Silent cars, no gas stations, clean air. Sounds great on paper. But what if that future is built on a foundation of sand, ready to crumble and leave us literally in the dark? We're talking about a hidden blackout threat, a ticking time bomb that could absolutely kill America's EV boom by 2030. By the way, if you're enjoying this kind of dark automotive deep dive, definitely stick around. I expose stuff like this pretty regularly. You might want to subscribe because I dig into dark topics like this all the time. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room, or rather, the elephant in your garage, your electric car. The government, the automakers, they're all pushing EVs hard. We're seeing projections that electric vehicles could make up anywhere from 33% to 50% of new car sales by 2030. Think about that for a second. That's a massive jump from where we are now, which was around 7% in 2022. It means millions upon millions of new electric cars plugging into our homes, our workplaces, our public charging stations. And here's where it gets really disturbing. This isn't just about a few extra cars. This surge in EV adoption is going to demand an insane amount of electricity. We're talking about EVs alone adding anywhere from 100 to 185 terawatt hours to our national electricity demand by 2030. Some even say it could hit 721 terawatt hours by 2035. To put that in perspective, that's like adding the entire electricity consumption of a small country just for cars. But wait, it gets even darker. It's not just your shiny new EV that's sucking up power. There's another silent, monstrous consumer lurking in the shadows. Data centers. All that AI, all that cloud computing, all those cryptocurrencies, they need massive amounts of energy. Experts are saying data centers could consume up to 9% of the U.S. electricity generation by 2030, more than double what they use now. Some even project it could be as high as 12% of total U.S. annual demand. So you combine the insatiable hunger of EVs with the ravenous appetite of data centers, and what do you get? A perfect storm.
We're looking at a potential 20% surge in national electricity consumption by 2030, with some forecasts pushing that to a staggering 25% by 2030 and a terrifying 78% by 2050. This is a dramatic, almost unbelievable shift from the measly 5% growth we've seen over the last decade. Now, here's what most people don't realize about this dark truth. Our power grid, the very backbone of our modern lives, is old. Like really old. Much of it was built decades ago, designed for a different era, a different kind of demand. It was never meant to handle this kind of sudden, exponential growth. It's like trying to run a supercomputer on a dial-up modem. It just won't work. This is where the hidden dangers really start to emerge. Think about peak demand. That's the moment when everyone flips on their lights, cranks up their AC, and increasingly plugs in their EVs all at the same time. Usually that's in the evenings when you get home from work and plug in your car. If millions of people do that simultaneously, our grid, already creaking under the strain, could just break. We're talking widespread blackouts, not just a few hours, but potentially days, weeks. Imagine that. No power for your house, no power for your car, no power for your phone. It's a terrifying thought, isn't it? And it's not just about the sheer volume of electricity. There's a sinister financial side to this. It's called demand charges. For businesses, especially public charging stations, these are fees based on the highest level of electrical power demand recorded during a billing cycle. Even if a fast charging station is used only once a month, that single spike can trigger massive demand charges. This means operating these stations is incredibly expensive, and those costs get passed on to you, the consumer. It's why public charging is often unreliable and expensive. It's a vicious cycle that hinders the very infrastructure we need for this EV future. Speaking of that, let me tell you about the real reason why charging infrastructure is such a mess. You've probably heard the stories, maybe even experienced it yourself: broken chargers, long lines, confusing payment systems. Studies show nearly 1 in 5 public chargers don't even work. That's not just an inconvenience, it's a symptom of a deeper problem. The system isn't ready, and they're pushing it anyway. This brings us to the players in this dark drama. You've got the utility companies trying to keep the lights on with an outdated system.
You've got government agencies, like those behind the NEVI program, pouring billions into EV infrastructure. And then you have the EV manufacturers, pushing out more and more cars, seemingly oblivious to the ticking time bomb they're creating. But here's what most people don't realize about this dark truth: the political angle. The push for EVs is heavily tied to government incentives and policies, like the Inflation Reduction Act. What happens if the political winds shift? What if those incentives disappear? We've already seen some forecasts for EV sales in the US being cut, with some now predicting only 27% of new car sales by 2030, down from previous estimates of 48%. If the government pulls back, the whole thing could slow down, leaving us with a half-built infrastructure and a lot of expensive, underutilized EVs. Honestly, I think this is terrifying. Imagine a world where a grid collapse isn't just an accident, but a vulnerability that could be exploited. This isn't just about your car not charging, it's about national security. A widespread power outage could cripple everything, from communication systems to emergency services. It's a nightmare scenario that feels ripped straight from a movie. And here's where the conspiracy theories start to gain traction. Some folks already believe the push for EVs is a government plot to control us, to track our movements, to even shut down our cars remotely. While those claims might sound far-fetched, if the grid fails, if blackouts become a regular occurrence, it lends a chilling false credibility to those narratives. People will start asking, was this intentional? Is this a controlled collapse? Is this a way to force us into a new way of life, whether we like it or not? A lot of folks don't talk about this dark side, but the uneven distribution of charging infrastructure is another red flag. Who gets to charge their car, and who is left stranded? Will electricity rates skyrocket for everyone, not just EV owners? Some reports suggest residential electricity rates could jump anywhere from 15 to 40% by 2030, and even double by 2050. That just doesn't sit right with me at all. It feels like a system designed to benefit some while leaving others behind in the dark. In my view, this is a massive cover-up. They're so focused on the shiny green future that they're ignoring the fundamental weaknesses in our infrastructure. They're pushing a technology without ensuring the underlying system can handle it. It's like building a skyscraper on a swamp. It might look impressive, but it's destined to sink.
Comment below what you think about this dark revelation. Have you experienced charging issues? Do you worry about the grid? Share this with someone who needs to know the truth. This reminds me of something else they're hiding. You know how China is dominating the EV market? They're not just making cars, they're controlling the entire supply chain, from batteries to critical minerals. While the US is trying to catch up with policies like the Inflation Reduction Act pushing for domestic production, China is already light years ahead. What if a grid collapse here gives them an even bigger advantage? What if it's part of a larger geopolitical play? Now, this is where it gets really sinister. We're talking about a future where your car isn't just a mode of transport, but a potential liability. If the grid goes down, your expensive EV becomes a very heavy, very useless paperweight. It's basically the difference between what they tell you and what's really happening. They tell you freedom and convenience. The dark truth is dependence and vulnerability. Makes you wonder what else they're hiding, doesn't it? What would you do if you discovered this about your car, about your future? Is this really progress, or just another corporate deception? Think of it like this. You know how when you're at a car dealership, they tell you all the amazing features, the low payments, the great mileage? They don't tell you about the hidden fees, the maintenance nightmares, or the fact that the car might break down the moment you drive it off the lot. This is that,
but on a national scale, with our entire power grid at stake. So what are the real questions we should be asking? Will the U.S. grid undergo the necessary modernization and expansion in time to avert a crisis? Or are we on a collision course with a nationwide blackout? Are there hidden agendas behind the rapid push for EVs? And what are the true costs and beneficiaries of this transition? Could a major grid failure be intentionally triggered or exploited? And what would be the real-world consequences for American citizens and national security? What happens when millions of Americans are reliant on a technology that can be rendered useless by a failing infrastructure? And perhaps the most unsettling question of all, are we being deliberately led down a path that makes us more dependent, more vulnerable, and less in control of our own lives? Subscribe for more dark automotive revelations. Like if you agree this is disturbing. Share this video to expose the truth.